Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again. It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years. The Red Sox are world champions. From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series.
This is the Inside the Sox podcast, and now here's your host, Kevin Baver.
What's going on, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Sox podcast presented by Grandstand Productions. With me, as always, is my man Rob, is my man Harrison, is my man Justin, and we have a very special guest today. Very honored, very privileged, very excited. Jason Stellakis is with us. Jason, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We are super excited to have you here. Jason, just do us a favor, just all the listeners, things like that, just kind of introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and tell us your passion for the Red Sox.
Yeah, so first off, I have my own podcast dedicated to the Red Sox and baseball called Ball Blob. Go check it out. And yeah, I'm a diehard Red Sox fan. You know, every trade, every, signing, I'm on it and I'm reacting to it. So you can follow me on Twitter for that stuff to get my takes. So yeah, glad to be on here and excited.
Awesome, Jason. So we're going to go around the table because as Jason just said, we got some signings to talk about. So Rob, start us off. What's going on in the Red Sox world?
There's a lot of things going on, and Chaim Bloom, let's just say, is cooking, as everyone would like to say. Yesterday was an eventful day. He added 2 outfielders. He added Adam Duvall, who was rumored to come to Boston, which is big for us, a guy who can destroy the left field wall, and will help us a lot in depth because that adds him in center field. That'll allow us to have Kike either at second base or shortstop to start the year without Story. He also signed Ramel Tapia, which is a good signing, which it'll be very awkward to see how Jarren Duran reacts to him after the inside the park home run he hit over his head. And then the day before, he signed a $2 million deal for Jorge Alfaro, who has very good power. As you can see in the Dominican Winter League, winning the MVP of that series, he's got legit power, and he's electric. He was electric in San Diego, and I think these 3 pieces have been very solid moves from Chaim Bloom.
Yeah, I think Duvall obviously headlining, the signings, and the Fenway Park is built for his swing. I mean, if you look at his spray chart, and I know it was all over Twitter, when the signing happened. You're talking potentially 30-plus home runs, with his spray chart. Will he stay healthy? I know that's a question mark. I hope he does. He also adds depth to the outfield, possibly our starting center fielder, and also moving Kike Hernandez back to the infield, which could be, once again, this is all just speculation. Harrison, let's get your thoughts.
Duval! I'm happy. I think he's not going to be that bad. I'm kind of scared about Kike at second base, to be honest with you. But at least he's not like a Jose Altuve who's like a 5'4" midget. But I'm happy about the signing, though. If we saw him, the pandemic year, he was hitting bullets. Like, he was hitting like home run after home run when we had that horrible season. Didn't want to talk about that, but I think it's a W signing for Chaim Bloom. Like Boston Rob said, the Go to Boston said, he is cooking, and I'm happy that Chaim Bloom's doing some really good jobs. But if you look at this team on paper, I saw this on Twitter, it looks amazing. Like Yoshi, hold on, let me see this on Twitter. Hold on, I have it on my Twitter. So here's the starting lineup coming from 1 through 9. Number 1, Yoshi. Number 2, Kike Hernandez at shortstop. Number 3, Babyface. 4, Justin Turner. 5, Doogie. 6, Adam Duvall at center field. Tristan Casas, Oreo, and Reese's Pieces at the number 9 spot. If you look at it on paper, Mr. Kevin, it's just unbelievable. And honestly, I think, in my opinion, we might have a shot to get like probably like third or maybe like in second place in the AL East, in my opinion, and make the playoffs.
I think this is shaping up to be a team that can definitely contend for the playoffs, and I'm not one for projections. Rob knows this. Since day one, I'm not a projection guy. I don't like to speculate. I like to work with facts. But, yeah, I mean, on paper, I'm with you, Harrison. This is a really, really fun-looking team. You know, a bunch of misfits. And I'm going to swing it over to Jason just because he's here. And I need your thoughts, dude. Let's, if you could – wrap up this offseason, particularly these last few signings. What are you thinking about the Red Sox going into 2023?
It's an interesting one because throughout the Chaim Bloom 10 years thus far, it's like we don't know what we're getting half the time. We don't know what the direction is of this team. And we've had Chaim Bloom come out and say, long-term sustainability is the goal. And initially I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to get an impact bat or an impact pitcher. But that didn't happen. Rafael Devers, we got him extended. That was one of the things that needed to be done this offseason. But that's a lateral move, so nothing new to add. But I do like some of the signings like Kenley Jansen and Justin Turner, Chris Martin to bolster the depth of the bullpen. I like it, but does it fall under the motto of long-term sustainability? No. And I saw this stat that said Rafael Devers is the only projected guy from last year's opening day lineup to be in the starting lineup at the position he played opening day last year. You're going to have other guys playing in other positions, and you're going to have a lot of new guys. So on paper, like Harrison said, this team is definitely better, but obviously it still has a few question marks, and time will tell.
Time's definitely going to tell with this team. And I think if you would have – before the Devers extension, a lot of people were just, we were all throwing Chaim under the bus. I mean, Bogart's leaving really, really was a shot to the chest. We've talked about that. But hindsight's always 20/20, and you really realize the business aspect of baseball with Xander, and there was no way we were going to be in the same realm as what San Diego offered him, and that's okay. This team on paper, once again, it's going to be exciting. And I think that's what we all want, right? In an off season, we want to be able to be excited about the roster that we're putting together. Jason said it. Chaim Bloom's from the get-go said long-term, sustainability. Well, Chaim Bloom's doing something that not a lot of head of baseball operations, GMs, whatever you want to call them, are doing. He is building a farm system while trying to put a competitive product on the field. Usually it's one or the other. Usually it's we're going to invest in the farm system and this is what we're going to do. Chaim's really trying to invest in the future of the Boston Red Sox, but at the same time, hopefully build, at least a playoff contender. Rob, what are your thoughts on what's going on with Chaim? And let's talk about some of the names you brought up earlier.
I really personally enjoy what he's doing with the team. Also, Justin, don't worry, we didn't forget you.
I know, Justin, we did not. Listen, Justin, I never forget about you. Justin says Chaim is cooking. Oh, it went down. It went down. Justin, send it again. Send it again, brother. I will. I'm sorry, Rob. I'm going to cut you off because I will.
You're good. Don't worry about it. We got to listen to the main man.
I know, Rob.
We got to listen to the main man.
Chaim is cooking. Grandstand Productions cooking up some stuff. I'm going to Sox weekend. Life is good for Mudslide Boy.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Justin loves his mudslides, and Grandstand Productions we're doing some nice things, and Chaim is cooking. He is. He's putting together. So, Rob, do me a favor. Let's break down some of the names, and we'll go through what they could potentially give us going into this year.
So I saw something about the Red Sox. A lot of teams are drawing interest in Tanner Houck, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they do now, especially with the amount of outfielders that they just added, because they just signed 2 outfielders. So that outfield does run deep. I mean, you got Rob Refsnyder. He could probably slot in the infield at second base, platoon with Arroyo. But the real thing is, are they going to trade one of those guys? Is Duran on the move? Is Verdugo on the move? I don't think Verdugo is going to be on the move, but maybe Duran, since he is a young stud and he has a lot of upside. Maybe he'll be traded with Tanner Houck. Maybe there's that rumor that the Marlins, the Red Sox, still are interested in Joey Wendell. Maybe even a starting pitcher from them. It's going to be very interesting to see what moves come forward, because I don't think this team is done making moves to be competitive. in the long run too, I like what they're doing. Obviously, they still have young guys like Marcelo Meyer in the wings, Dane Rafaela, who's very good, Emmanuel Valdez, who could be an impact bat this year later down the line. So I like the moves that the Red Sox are doing, and I think this team, it's like you said on Twitter the other day. I know you got hate for it, Kevin, but I'm backing it up. This team does give me 2013 vibes. There's a lot of people just mismatches coming in, and they're building a team that can compete. A band of misfits, as you would say. I think this team could be competitive for a wild card spot, like Harrison said, or even second place in the division. I think if they had another pitcher, this team could be better than a lot of people are thinking they're cut out to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Harrison, give us your thoughts. Where are we at right now?
I mean, Boston Rob took my question yet again. I mean, the answer is all the time. I agree with what the go to Boston saying. I mean, what was his name? Rogers from the Marlins? Was it?
Yeah, the Rockies, right?
Oh, the
Rogers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. But either way, my bad. I think this team looks pretty good, like what I said on paper. I just think that we should trade like the Flash or maybe like a swing and miss Bobby D. Like we can't trade Doogie. I mean, what is gonna be happening at the trade deadline? I hope not, but it could be a possibility because don't jinx Hein Bloom because Hein Bloom might do something with this, honestly. But
absolutely.
I'm sorry. I'm lost. I'm speechless. What is going on? But either way, it's a good. Either way, yeah. Let's move on. I can't even talk.
Jason, talk to us, brother. Pick Harrison up. Talk to us.
Yeah, no. There's a lot to be excited about with this team, and back to the point of trading for Miami. Is it okay if I talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think what this team lacks right now is top of the rotation.
Yes.
Your number one or number two go-to guy, and on paper, like Harrison said, you're a good team. You have a great rotation. That's on paper. The reality is we don't know how many starts Chris Sale's going to start. We don't know how many starts you're going to get from these other guys like, maybe James Paxton or, Whitlock or Bayo. You don't really know. And I think trading with Miami, getting one of those pitchers, whether it be Pablo Lopez or Edward Cabrera, definitely could help this rotation a lot in the front end. The back end has a lot of depth, like, Corey Kluber. Then you have people in the wings like, Cutter Crawford and Josh Winkowski. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, those are only back end of the bullpen guys. So when you look at Miami, I would listen in on, Verdugo or Houck. Verdugo, Houck, definitely Rafaela, because at the end of the day, prospects are prospects. They're not major league talent. And if you're going to get someone who's going to be really good for 2 years, like Pablo Lopez has control, or maybe Edward Cabrera. Mm-hmm. I'm open to that because Houck, he's getting better season by season, but the main thing with him is where is he gonna fit? Is it the rotation? Is it the bullpen? We truly don't know yet. They said to prepare. They told him to prepare as a starter, which is only a thing to increase his value, but. I'd listen in on some trades and hopefully get another infield depth piece because we lack that up the middle right now. But, I think there's a trade coming. I just smell it.
I think there's a trade coming. And I just want to talk about Miami for a second because we're now approaching week 3 in the quote unquote Hein Bloom and Miami talks. And we really did believe, at least I thought before the Duvall signing, that something was going to go down with Miami. I really, really did. I thought that, Pablo Lopez would be a Red Sox. I thought someone like a Jazz Chisholm, someone in the middle infield, that we could have thrown in there because the other thing that Miami has, they have a tremendous amount of middle infielders, right? So if you're looking at what the Red Sox are doing with the signings that we've had over the last few days, it's literally pointing to Miami. I mean, I know we've talked about Brendan Rodgers in Colorado. I know we've talked about who else?
Ha-Seong Kim.
Yeah, Ha-Seong
San Diego.
Kim. Yeah, San Diego, right? And it seems like San Diego just wants a little bit more than anybody's willing to give for Kim. But when you're throwing out names like Tanner Houck, when you're throwing out Duran, Bobby D, and then obviously I hate to say it, but Verdugo. To me, and this is just my own personal opinion, I believe that Duran, although he looked miserable in the outfield and obviously his bat didn't really show up much last year, he probably has a little bit more value only because of age.
And he could play the infield too a little bit.
Exactly, Rob. Exactly.
Came up as a second baseman. So
came up as a second
a little bit more valuable.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's go, Robin Harrison. Let's talk about Miami a little bit. Let's see who we can get out from them.
I really think with Miami, I really wanted to go Rojas. Obviously, the Dodgers made that happen with that trade. I mean, that's good for them because they got a guy who's obviously going back to where he started playing his career, and I think he's a solid bat, still at his age. A lot of guys. I mean, that team, they just added Gene Segura. They're putting him at second base, so that does make you think, okay, Joey Wendell's the odd man out. There's some guys that we could get from them. Obviously, I really would love Edward Cabrera or Pablo Lopez. I think either one of the two. Both are amazing starters. I would prefer Edward Cabrera just because, I think he has a lot more upside than Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez is an amazing pitcher, by the way, but Edward Cabrera, he has electric stuff. And if anybody who plays MLB The Show knows, he's discussing at MLB The Show, so I can only picture that in years to come in real life. But I really do like the Marlins are a good young team. I think they're a weird team because they're always winning sometimes, and then they just flunk for years. But I really think that if they do make a trade, I wouldn't mind Joey Wendell because he could play anywhere in the infield. He could play second base, third base, short. But also, I would honestly entertain Edward Cabrera coming here. And I think, I don't think giving up Doogie unless we're not competing, then that would be the case at the deadline. Maybe dump him off. I love Doogie, but I think that could be the case. But I mean, another start would help. As long as we getting a guy who can play the middle infield is going to be the most important thing. A guy who can play a nice shortstop. I mean, a lot of people are even saying Elvis Andrus coming here. I think would be a nice pickup too. Put him as Profar too. I think Profar can also play a corner outfield, but that's not none of our needs. But in case we do, because this team does have a history with injuries, a lot would help. And like Jason was saying about the rotation, this team on paper, if this was 2015, the Red Sox would actually have a big top three. Obviously, Kluber, Paxton, and obviously Sale being top of the market starters back then. But now this is 2023, and they're injury prone, so it's going to be very interesting to see. Getting an extra starter will really help us out. I think Bayo is going to be really good. But if we get Cabrera, imagine Cabrera and Bayo for years to come. That would be a dynamic duo.
Be a lot of fun. Harrison, go ahead, brother.
All right, so Mr. Kevin. Okay, so pretend you're Miami's GM and I'm Chaim Bloom. Okay, so I want to trade you something, right? I'll give you Bobby D, Jared Duran, what's his name, Cabrera, and you give me Lopez. What do you think about that?
I would do it, and this is why. This is why I'm going to do it. Bobby D is a fan favorite in my household, and Jason, I want you to get familiar with this because Bobby Dahlbeck is my daughter's favorite player, and he is the greatest July and early August hitter of all time. Okay, I think Bobby D needs a fresh environment. I really do, and unfortunately, I hate to say that. I don't know where he fits on this team. I don't know where he fits on the 40-man. So he could be a potential trade piece. I tweet out every single time there's a potential 40-man move. Is Bobby D going to survive it? Because he just keeps surviving through him, and Brazier as well. Duran, I'm probably taking just because of the potential upside, and then Rafaela, I'm going to take as well. Just because I think he's going to be good in the middle infield for time to come. The one thing, I'm doing it for Lopez. No, you're probably going to have to give me somebody else as well. You're probably going to have to give me Wendell. You're probably going to have to throw something else in. I'm giving you a lot of young value. For it's a good return. I mean, the Red Sox would be getting a good return. It's just I don't think you do it all for Pablo Lopez. I mean, Cabrera might be a different story, but I think Wendell fits into that.
How about this, Mr. Kevin? I'll give you
Go ahead.
Lopez and what'd you say again? Rogers?
Wendell?
Yeah, Wendell. Yeah, I'll give you those two for Bobby D, Flash, and Cabrera.
Listen, if you want Brendan Rodgers on the Red Sox, just say it, Harrison. It's okay.
It's okay.
But
we keep talking
I'm
about.
gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, Mr. Kevin. I don't trust Bayo, but I I haven't seen a lot from him because I just quit like at the end of the. I'm just saying, in my opinion.
I'm gonna take a nice little sip of this.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Brian Bale, and I saw Jason's. I just saw. Hold on one second. 2023, 2014, 2021. This is from Justin equals 2023. 13 old guys, 14 young guys, and the start of a new era of the Sox. And you have a clubhouse vibe from 21. He's right, Justin. I mean, like I said, this team is going to be fun to watch. Brian Bale. Okay, let's switch because I'm going to talk to Jason about this for a second. Because to me, one of the most exciting young pitchers potentially, and we have him in our starting five. I really do. And I'm not being like facetious, and I'm being over optimistic. If you look at his numbers over the last like 4 to 5 starts at the end of last year, you really saw the potential of what Bello could really add to this rotation. And we're not asking him to come in and be a 1 or 2 guy. We're not even asking him to be a 3 guy. We're asking him
4-5.
Exactly, to be someone at the back end of the rotation that's going to give us consistency. This rotation is very old on paper. There's a lot of years between these guys in this rotation. We're going to need a young guy that can kind of carry the back end of this rotation. Jason, what's your thought on the rotation? I mean, I know the numbers are high. I know it's not as attractive as people are saying, but if you piece it all together, is this a rotation that can kind of keep it together?
I have more to say about it.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna lie. I would have like bring in Lopez, and then we can just DFA Brazier and put like Bayo in the bullpen, honestly, in my opinion.
I think Bayo's a starter. I'm not going to lie to you, Harrison. I really think, especially, well, I think the reason why he was so, like, kind of, like, shaky his first couple months is because he wasn't completely ready. Obviously, he was just thrown into the fire because the Red Sox needed him to pitch. They needed someone who could pitch.
Okay.
Also, in September, he had, like, an outstanding September for the Red Sox, and I think he would be he's young, he got electric stuff, and he's working with Pedro Martinez, so he's got a little bit working. I mean, one of the most electric pitchers in Red Sox history, if not baseball history, and Pedro Martinez. Yeah. So I think he's going to be very special and someone to look out for, even for Rookie of the Year this year. The Red Sox, honestly, they have 3 players who could be Rookie of the Year. Yoshida, Bayo, possibly if he has a really good pitching, and obviously Casas. You can't forget about Casas. But I think Bayo is a starter. I think he's a perfect starter.
I'm gonna trust to go to Boston because I can trust you more than Bayo. So, all right, sorry, Jason. Go.
Jason, give us your thoughts on this rotation.
You know, as I said before, on paper, it's a pretty good rotation, but in reality, we don't know what's gonna happen come late April, early May. We don't know if Chris Sale's going to fall off a bike again. We don't know if James Paxton's going to have a setback. We don't know if Garrett Whitlock's going to succeed in the rotation. I know, but I mean, last year with Whitlock, it's much harder to go from the bullpen to the rotation than it is to go to the rotation to the bullpen. And I will say that. And, you know, another question mark on Bayo, you know, yes, he showed some promising signs, but like, is he ready for that step up as a second-year player? I think he's lost his rookie status right now. But overall, like I said, I think we're going to need another arm. As it stands right now, you're looking probably one guy who can pitch. You know you're going to get who can pitch 150 innings or more, and that's Pivetta. And I think you should stay away from, you know, trading him or moving him to the bullpen because overall, in reality, although he was not the best pitcher, he gave you innings, and that's very valuable, especially if you're the Boston Red Sox, and you can never have too many guys who can throw innings like him. So him, maybe a Pablo Lopez, and I'd imagine we'd have to give up one of the guys like Houck. But back to, you know, Harrison's point before about putting Bayo in the bullpen, I would not do that. I want him to develop as like a homegrown starter. And
absolutely.
I know the bullpen can always use some work, but I really think Bayo has the potential to be a great starter. And in terms of trading, you know, I'm keeping all trades off of him unless I'd take calls on someone like Alcantara. That's the only guy on the Marlins I'd take a call from to get Bayo.
Yeah, I think that when you look at we know Casas and Bayo are kind of off limits, right? Like quote unquote, like when trade talks began after like the major signings went down and we waited for Correa to sign, and that kind of, I'm not saying put a cap on the offseason, but a cap at least on the big names, right? And then we start to get into trade season, which before pitchers and catchers report, usually history tells us heats up tremendously. I think Casas is off the table. I think Bayo's off the table. I think when you look at the rotation, so here's one thing that Heim did this offseason that I think he needs to do, and that was address the back end of the bullpen, right? Like seventh, eighth, and ninth inning going on.
He did an amazing job.
He did an amazing job. I mean, Joely Rodriguez, Chris Martin. Chris Martin is a strike machine. All the guy does is come in and throw strikes. And that's all we're really asking him to do. And obviously, Kenley Jansen at the back end, we finally have a closer. And we haven't had a quote-unquote closer. We thought Matt Barnes was going to be the guy, and he was an all-star. And then I don't know if it was Spider Tack. I hate to say it, but, I mean, is there a direct correlation between Spider Tack and Matt Barnes just falling off the planet?
And then we had Whitlock and Houck at one point swapping it off. And I think it's good to have a solidified bullpen now.
Yeah, it's consistency, right? Like this is what we need. This is what we want. We want consistency. And as far as the starting rotation goes, to me, it's just you can never have enough arms, right? Is it going to be Paxton? Is it going to be Pivetta? Is it going to be Kluber? Kluber, by the way, eight times in his career, over 200 innings thrown, in a single season. To me, if you get guys like that in the rotation, Chris Sale fights, dude. Like, I mean, the comebacker at Yankee Stadium where he fractures the pinky. There's nothing you can do about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just dumb luck. Like there's nothing. Yeah, you can't. There's nothing you can do about it. And we want Chris Sale to be healthy because I think we're all rooting for Chris Sale. The Boston birds chirping in the back saying that the Chris Sale contract and trade was one of the worst ever created. I'm not ready to give up on that. I'm really not. You're seeing more and more guys pitch into the their mid, possibly late 30s with pretty consistent. I'm not saying they're one guys. I'm not saying they're two guys. They're definitely guys that are going to go out there and win you games and look at it. 40-man moves we touched on a little bit. I just want to go a little bit more further into it. Jason, I'm going to start with you this time. 40-man moves going forward. What are we looking at? Is Bobby D going to survive it? Is Brazier going to decide? Is Alt going to survive it? Right? I'm sorry, I said his name. I always pronounce one an episode, dude. I'm good for one an episode. Is Ork going to survive it? Jason, start us off, man. What is the next 40-man move looking like?
I always bring these 40-man moves into two categories. One is you're not getting a trade-off, and then obviously the trade route. So let's go into the world where we're not gonna trade. That's off limits right now. Who is the guy that I point to? I think it's Ort at the end of the day. You do have a lot of bullpen arms, but there's no one really you can sacrifice in the infield / outfield right now. I know Dahlbeck is hanging on by a thread, but at the end of the day, he is a first baseman, and if Casas goes down, or God forbid Justin Turner, who's next? We've been saying that a lot. Who's next in general? So I think Bobby Dahlbeck is a depth piece. I think he's got to stay on this team. As of right now, at this very moment with Duvall, I think he is that utility man who will play the infield. Is Arroyo's going to start playing second base full-time as of right now. And you need a guy who can be utility man in the infield. So I think Bob's safe, but I also wouldn't be shocked if he got DFA'd. In terms of the bullpen, where do you look? I think it's Ort. I'm willing to give Brazier another shot because at the end of the day, he did have the most appearances. He led the team on that. If you didn't know that, he was getting placed in moments that high pressure, and wasn't doing that well. But he has shown at the end of 2021 he can be a decent pitcher, and 2018 obviously past years can't rely on that. And he also had that disastrous 2019 season. So, but like I said, I'm willing to give him another shot at the back end of that rotation if you need to eat up 1-2 innings. I think low pressure. I think Brazier can serve as a good guy for that. And then to answer your question, I would handpick Ort out of all of them, but you really have you don't have that much room to work with. It's 40 minutes crazy.
No.
Yeah, it's 40
It is
minutes
very
absolutely
crazy.
crazy. Rob, go ahead. Rob Harrison. Go.
I was going to say, it is very crazy. I think one thing I like about that the Red Sox have been doing, at least with recent DFAs, is using them to either get cap considerations or get a piece from another team for players to be named later. They did it twice with their recent DFAs, obviously with Darwinson Hernandez going to the Orioles for PT, BNL, or cash, which I think is smart because this actually really helps, especially later down the line for the Red Sox, because let's say in the foreseeable future, right? Let's say we're near June, late June, and the Red Sox are competing, but let's say someone goes down with an injury. Any player to be named later to come to the Red Sox for a DFA, I'll take that any day of the week, especially like they can pick out guys who are on waivers. They can pick out guys who are on the trade block, and I think that's really good that the Red Sox are doing that, especially for a DFA. You don't really see that too often, so I like how Chaim Bloom's doing that. I agree. I think Ryan Brazier, there's a lot of upside to him. As much as we clown on him on Twitter and we make fun of him, I think that Ryan Brazier is honestly, like, if he can get back to form, he's a bullpen guy that could really help. And like, put him in like in the 5th inning, 6th inning, just like 1 or 2 innings, he could be at the top of the bullpen. Obviously, you have Chris Martin and Kenley Jansen and all them for more high leverage situations. So I think Ryan Brazier, you give him one more shot in the dust, and if it doesn't work out, you could always include him in a trade package by the deadline. If another team, like, look at Hansel Robles, a guy who was unreliable, the Dodgers picked him up. The Dodgers are known for changing pitchers around. And also, Justin says, let's go around. Would you rather have Kim or Lopez? I would prefer, honestly, Lopez. I would prefer the starter. I think I'm comfortable with Arroyo and Kike up the middle for the time being. I'm very comfortable. I think one more pitcher. I'm a little concerned about the pitching. That's what I'm concerned about.
I agree with Boston, Rob. I'm going with Lopez as well. I think that we know Kike. I mean, I don't think he's not gonna be that bad at second base. He's not like Jose Altuve is 5'6", but like he's 5'10". He's not that bad of a height too. He can catch the ball and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with go to Boston. I'm going with Lopez.
Jason, thoughts? Kim or Lopez?
No, personally, I'd go Lopez only because, like I mentioned, we really need that front end starter. I think Kim he's a great defender, but I think he's like a career 240 hitter.
Yeah, 240. Yeah.
And I think if we're ever going to trade with the Padres for him, I just feel like we're giving up Bogarts and Houck. I think that's flirting out Red Sox Twitter. Houck for Kim, which I don't like. I think Houck is a good upside, but that doesn't mean I'm against trading Houck. For the right guy, I'll trade him. But for what's his name, Kim, I would not personally. Yeah. Lopez is a great pitcher.
I'm going with Lopez. You're talking about one of the nastiest changeups in the league. I mean, if you look at his change, being in the New York metro area that I am, I hear Mets fans talk all the time. Lopez has one of the best changeups, as a starter, in this league. I'm taking Lopez only because I love arms. I really do. And listen, we've created a lineup right now where, listen, we didn't have a power bat in the outfield last year. Now we have Duvall. Yoshida, I'm not going to say is a power bat, but it's definitely someone who's going to spray it into the gaps, and he does have a little pop for kind of a stature that you wouldn't think of a big guy. And hopefully Dougie, if he does hang around, he can continue his second half of last season and continue to grow on that and be the player that we're all hoping that he can be. Justin Turner, another guy. Another bat that I think is just going to absolutely pepper the monster. Tristan Casas, power. This is a team, and it's so funny because Chaim Bloom said to Kike when he locked him up, and he said, this is going to be a different team, and we all thought it was going to be the big names, right? Like, we all thought if it wasn't Xander, it'd be the Correas. If it wasn't the Correas, then it was going to be the Trey Turners. And Rob and I, when we first started recording episodes, we were talking about all these guys, and then one by one, they all came off the board, and we started bringing in guys like Justin Turner and the Duvalls and the Jolie Rodriguez's and the Jansons and the Martins, and we were like, where's this team going, right? But all of a sudden, it's a very exciting team on paper. I'm going Lopez because I love arms. I love young arms. I believe Lopez could be a 2-guy in a rotation, undoubtedly on this team. Undoubtedly, I think he's probably your 1 or 2 guy, day one. And also you have control, right? I believe it's 2 years of team. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years of team control. So, you got a little time to work with them. And as far as designated for assignments, shocked that Bobby D's made it this far. And I hate to say it, shocked that Brazier, but, Jason brought up a good point. He did lead the team in appearances. And if you add pieces around Brazier now like they have in this bullpen, it takes the pressure off him a little bit, right? Maybe he is, Rob said it, maybe he is a 5th inning guy. Maybe he is a 6th inning guy. Maybe he's someone who comes in and just gets you an out. We see it all the time. Guys get brought in from the bullpen just to get a few outs. I know they have to finish the inning now or whatever the rule is now, but is he that guy? That's fine. The pressure's off Brazier, so maybe he can go back to form and be one of these exciting pitchers that we saw him and hopefully know that he can be. I'm going to leave it up to you. Where do you guys, what do we want to talk about? Jason, you have anything for us?
I'd actually 2 things, but I'll get the first one out right now. Trade scenario,
Okay.
I say this to everyone. Red Sox receive Joey Wendell and Pablo Lopez. We give up Tanner Houck, Ceddanne Rafaela, and Jarren Duran. Are you taking that?
100%. Absolutely, dude. I'm not even thinking about it. What do you think,
sorry,
Rob?
Harrison? It's Tanner Houck. It's just like I don't want to do it.
I think Jason said it before, and I thought it was really cool. And I think Rob, I think we all touched on it. Where's Houck fit in this team, right? Like, is he going to be a rotation guy? And I know they say prepare for the rotation with Houck because, once again, it adds value to him being a trade piece. Once again, this is a business. Everything that they say, everything that they do, emulates, what their next move is going to be. Tanner Houck, I love him. I think he has great upside. Listen, if they don't make a trade, right, as Jason said before, and we're looking strictly at DFAs, or designated for assignments, DFAs, Tanner Houck on this roster, I'm okay with. I'm not like, oh my God, this anti-Tanner Houck guy. But when you talk about trades, he's the first piece to go, 100%. 100%. Rob, what do you think?
I would restructure the deal a little bit. I think it's a good deal.
Okay.
I would take it for Pablo Lopez, but if I'm giving up Ceddanne Rafaela, who is projected to be like really, really good, especially like an amazing outfielder, I would kind of prefer Edward Cabrera just because he's a little bit younger and he has a little bit more like electricity, a little bit more upside, maybe.
Yeah.
But other than that, I still would take the trade. Maybe even if you pull out Ceddanne Rafaela and you throw in like another minor leaguer, another prospect, I think the deal would be a little bit better because then you could use Ceddanne Rafaela for like a package and another trade. Maybe like in the future, people are talking about like a Brian Reynolds trade. The Red Sox always been swirling around him. Maybe you do like Ceddanne Rafaela and Alex Verdugo, and for Reynolds and like another prospect there, you can always shop around. But I think Rafaela, I would pull out the deal and maybe mix it in with another prospect or swap it out with Edward Cabrera. I think if you're going to do like give up Rafaela, I want the younger guy who has electric stuff. I love Pablo Lopez. I'm not saying he's a bad pitcher, but if you're going to give up a future superstar outfielder, I would rather a super future ace.
Yeah, I could see that. I think because Rafaela's name was thrown around for so many weeks as potential guy who was going to be on the move, that we all just got comfortable with the idea of him not being with this team. And I know that is an unfortunate reality, but it also, as a fan, and I can only speak for myself, as a fan, you almost forget what you have in him. And Rob, thank you for kind of reminding all of us what he could potentially bring to this team. Harrison, your thoughts? Are you rocking with the potential Jason deal with Miami? Are you doing it for Lopez and Wendell?
I don't want to trade Tanner Houck because he's such a good key for our team. Because you know what we did like for the past like 2 years, I believe 2 years. I mean, I don't know.
Justin said, I say Kim, you have the bullpen to back up if starting pitching gets in trouble. You have a big piece in Dougie and start the trade package at starting pitching at the deadline. Yeah, I mean, listen, sorry, Harrison, I'll get back.
Go ahead, Mr.
listen, we have a whole season ahead of us, right? And that's the fun thing when we do get into projections and speculations. We don't know when July rolls around what this team is going to look like, and they may be looking for a starting pitcher, right? They may be looking for a big bat up the middle. If all of a sudden this team comes out, which, by the way, I don't know if you've seen their schedule in April, extremely winnable. I know Jason just gave me the thumbs up. I mean, this team could come out and win 17, 18 games in April, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy, I don't think this, the floor falls out underneath them, but very winnable April. Will they be looking to make a move when it comes to the deadline? I do believe that we are going to be buyers versus sellers. I really do when July rolls around this season. And but also it is Heim. I know he's building for the future. Someone we got Blaze Jordan, right? We got a Mayer. We got, Rafael if he doesn't leave. I mean, we have a lot of guys. We have York, right? We have a lot of guys. All of a sudden, that Devers extension with Cassis and Bello and, 5, 6, 7 guys in the farm system, you come to me in 2025 or 2026, holy crap, like this could be a really, really exciting team. But yeah, Harrison back. Are you taking Lopez? Are you giving up Hawk?
Now I've been thinking about it. I mean, for the Red Sox community, because I trust Rob than Heim Bloom. Right now. If he was my general manager, I said, you know what, fuck it, do it. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
You're good.
It's okay.
I mean,
happens.
I'll do it because I believe in the Red Sox fans and Heim Bloom, even though I love how Heim Bloom's doing at the moment. So
absolutely,
yes, I'll do the trade.
Jason, could you let's just give us your grade so far for this offseason. I know we've done this before on this podcast, but it's nice to have a fresh face in here. I just want to hear your overall thoughts on what Heim is doing, as far as this offseason, and if you could put a letter grade to it.
I'm going to give it, and I know you guys are big Heim Bloom guys, or I don't want to say big, but mid Heim Bloom guys. I'll give it a D.
Wow.
I'll tell you why.
That shocked me, dude. Okay, go ahead.
Justin looks like he supports it.
Justin's with it.
Wow, you and Justin are on the same page.
Yeah, okay.
I'll give you my reason.
Okay.
Yes, you signed Devers for a lot of money. However, that is the only thing keeping it from an F right now. And it was too late. You should have done that earlier, let alone in January. And, let alone this season. That should have been done last season or the season before. So, yeah. And another factor, yes, there have been some decent signings here and there. But then we got the news from Story. And it's like, they must have known. And
they knew in October.
2 hours after the Carlos Correa deal. Yeah, it was 2 hours after the Carlos Correa deal was announced with the Twins. So we just created a big hole in the middle infield. Not that confident. But I was really hoping we'd get that impact player. We did not. And this is seeming like a bridge year. And there's so many question marks still. I wanted an offseason where I could say, okay, I know what I'm getting out of this new guy. I know what I'm getting out of this guy. And the guy I can only say it that I'm confident in is Rafael Devers. He'll bat, 275, 280, I don't know, maybe 100 RBIs, 20, 25, 30 home runs. That's you know what you're getting out of him, but that's it. We have so many question marks on this team, and it's, I don't know. I could see this team winning 90 games. I can also see this team not even making it over 500 all season.
Well, this is what so I wanted to play devil's advocate with you, Jason, because if this does click, right? If the Turners and the Cassis and the Duvals and all these pieces that they're putting together, if somehow this lineup figures it out and this pitching staff figures it out, will we look back? And I know hindsight's 20/20, but will we look back and say, you know what? Even if it was a bridge year, it was a good offseason.
Yeah, I mean,
winning cures all, right?
Yeah, but as the Boston Red Sox, you should be prepared to win. And
yes. Good. Very good.
I'm not saying we're not in position to win, but I'm kind of a Dombrowski fan but not the biggest Dombrowski fan, if that makes sense. And I like being aggressive sometimes, signing someone who will give you signing an impact player or trading for this pitcher. Back in 2016, we saw Dombrowski. He's one of the best talent evaluators in all of baseball, and a lot of people say this. And getting Chris Sale in 2016 was probably one of the best trades he made. Yes, you gave up Yoan Moncada, but he's not all that good. He's a decent major league player, but not. He was supposed to be the next Adrian Beltre, but that really didn't happen. Michael Kopech was the other big guy. The jury's still kind of out on him, but overall, you're getting Chris Sale. So I wish, this offseason is not over yet technically, but I wish we'd have a move like that and a big name signing too. Like, I don't know, maybe a Carlos Correa for a 5-6 year deal. I know he has a leg injury, but he's a power bat. Maybe a guy I kind of liked was Brandon Nimmo. I liked him before the Mets decided to not be afraid of their own tax, but I wanted the impact player. Bloom didn't do it, and here we are right now with a lot of question marks.
So let me ask you a question.
Go ahead. No, go.
So Jason, let me ask you a question. If we had the chance to re-sign Bogey, how much years or how much money do you want to pay that man?
I'd say the contract that they allegedly offered, 6 years, $160 million. I think that's fair. Because I think although he's a good shortstop, although he's a good hitter too, you got to remember at the end of the day, he's a cornerstone piece in Boston, and he's a good players guy too. He's kind of like Corey. Core's a players manager. A player's manager.
Let me ask you a question. Would you want to change that 6 to a 9?
Should I say that one more time?
Would you change that 6 to a 9?
Cut out for me.
In years?
I'd do it.
No.
I would do it.
No?
I'm not gonna lie.
I would not do that.
I would do it.
You're talking age 39 season, and what long-term deals, like that work out in the end? I think 6 years is fair because his power declined, and I don't know. He had a decent year offensively. He had a great year offensively, actually. But I don't know how much production I'm going to get from him in his age 37, 38 season. Because let's remember, mid-30s is old for a shortstop, especially of his caliber.
Yeah, I think I'm with Jason. I think I thought 6 years was the magic number. I really did, and I remember talking to Rob about this when we started this whole thing up. I really thought 6 was the magic number. I thought 6 would get it done, and unfortunately, it didn't. How are you going to top what San Diego gave? Like I said, and I hate to keep beating this down, but you saw the business come out when it came to Xander Bogaerts. You really saw the business side of baseball come out, and there was a team that was willing to go above and beyond on years and AAV, and they saw enough. Yeah, they saw enough.
San Diego was just willing to hand out money to anybody. We saw Aaron Judge. They offered him $400 million, Turner $400 million. It was due, and when Bogaerts was a big fish on the pond, I was surprised they didn't offer it to Correa. I'm surprised, but honestly, I would have felt comfortable giving him 8 years. Only the reason because Xander Bogaerts, if he declines at shortstop a lot of times, and I think this is going to happen to Trey Turner with the Phillies as well, he's going to slot over to the right side of the infield. He would go to second base. Bogaerts is also tall. You could teach him how to play first base. And just to have that guy in the clubhouse, you could have put the C on his chest. Obviously, it sucks knowing that he's gone, but I think 8 years would have done it. It would have been 38 years old, could have retired, perfect age to retire right before you're 40. Slot him at DH even. Rafi, that's what Rafi's going to end up being. I think Rafi's going to end up being a DH in the long run when Blaze Jordan's ready. But I would have loved to have Bogaerts at least 7 to 8 years. I think would have been fine. A little bit less than San Diego's offer, but at least a reasonable amount of years for him.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We got anything else, guys?
He's also Justin's digging the Adam Duvall signing. You get big Hunter Renfroe vibes from him. I do too. I think he's going to play a mean center field for the Red Sox. He's not terrible defensively, and also he's going to Justin Turner. He's going to pepper that. He's going to pepper that left field wall, hit a lot of bombs onto the Max Pike. I think.
Yeah, Duvall's got a cannon, and plays an okay center. My issue with Duvall, as I said before, he's got to stay healthy. He really has to stay healthy, and if he stays healthy, I think, hopefully the dimensions of Fenway work in his favor, because you're talking about a guy who could put up some crazy numbers, and I'm not talking
Cincinnati. He had good numbers too when he was with the Reds, 40 home runs, and that's not even a hitter's ballpark. Usually that's a pitcher's ballpark. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with Duvall. Very shocked at Jason with the D. That blew me off the couch, dude. My little couch with the D. I think I when we gave our grades out, I think I was around a C plus, and I think I was just riding an emotional high from the Devers extension. Once again, a lot of question marks. Going to have to see what happens with this team. Going to have to see, if it pans out, it's going to be fun. Let's put it that way. If this team pans out, it's going to be a lot of fun, and if they can live up to the expectation of what we want as fans, it's a weird team. It's an interesting team on paper. A lot of people hating on the Boston Red Sox all off season, but I'm telling you right now, if for whatever reason this thing clicks, it's going to be a lot of fun.
All I'm going to say is if they do, I'm not saying they're making the playoffs. Let's just get this straight. But if they do, Justin and I can have some mudslides together at a bar and watch a playoff game. Just saying, we'll make it happen.
I'm going to come up to Boston for that. Absolutely.
The one other thing I want to mention, I know I said a D, but if this team does pan out to be, what it is on paper, I'll up it. I'll give it like a B.
There you go. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jason.
Okay, so I want to ask a question about the catching rotation, because we already know, because we signed someone from the Padres. I keep on forgetting. I don't know Alfaro. And then we used Connor Wong halfway through the season. And then we picked up Reese's Pieces from the Chicago White Sox. So we're going to use 2 catchers. I'm not going to lie to you. So if you had to pick 2 of the 3 catchers we're going to have this season, who would it be? I honestly think Reese's Pieces and I almost call him Alfonso. That's gonna be his nickname. I'm gonna call him Alfonso. I don't care. Or Connor Wong. Which of you 2 are gonna pick out of those 3?
Alfaro and Reese, I think. I think Wong is. I give him a little bit more time in the minors. Give him some more time. I just think a little bit more time in the minors would make him, because you see the potential with Connor Wong. He's the last standing piece of that Mookie Betts trade now, minus Verdugo. I think that he give him another year in the minors, he'll be ready to go by 2024, like full time, probably being the starting catcher. So we'll see.
Go, Jason.
Okay, yeah. So as much as I love Connor Wong, here's reality. When you look at the catching on the 40-man roster, I think at the end of the day, if you're going to have Jorge Alfaro on as your backup catcher, one of your catchers, whether it be Connor Wong or Ronaldo Hernandez, has got to get DFA'd. You cannot have a 40-man roster consisting of 5 catchers. I think 4 is the bare maximum, or the maximum.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I think this is going to be an open competition come spring training. I really do. I think if we're looking at Alfaro, Wong, and McGuire, I would almost guarantee that McGuire is going to be, the everyday catcher, right? I think we all agree with that. Lefty too. Yeah, exactly. And he, as far as the lineup card goes, he adds with the lefty. But with Wong and Alfaro, I think it's going to be straight up competition. And Core's going to have to sit down with his main man, Jason Varitek. He's going to have to sit down with obviously Heim's going to have his eyes on it, and they're going to have to collectively come together and make a decision on who's going to be that substantial number 2. I like this. Justin just said, if you aren't with us, you're against us. This year's going to be fun. I can't wait. I think it is. I think it is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be an exciting thing. Connor Wong, that kind of last piece of the Mookie Betts trade, does another year in the minors help him? It could, yeah. I could subscribe to that. I'm pretty much on board with that. Alfaro just seems like someone who could be really, really exciting, but he could also be like a freaking Franchi Cordero who comes up and the whole clubhouse loves him, but the guy just can't play baseball. So I don't know. I think Alfaro was probably a little bit more talented with the bat than Frenchie was, but yeah, it seems like he's definitely a personality, and I think if you're looking at this clubhouse right now, it's definitely full of personalities. So that would be interesting.
Now, Christian Arroyo has the best personality ever. He's like the hype man. He's like the hype man of this club.
Hype man in the clubhouse. Jason, I just want to thank you once again. Please, if you're listening, go on Twitter, follow Jason, follow the work that he's doing. Stellakis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it. 2 for 2, baby. 2 for 2. Jason Stellakis. Follow him on Twitter. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for offering your insight over the last few days and also the off season that the Red Sox have had. It's been a pleasure. I'm not trying to cut anybody off. And Rob, you got anything? Justin, Harrison?
I just want to say, we also, not to plug our own stuff, but we just made an Instagram as well. So now if you want to follow, you can. If you don't have Twitter, if you don't have TikTok, if you have Instagram, Inside the Sox, everywhere. We just made it. We're rebranding. So if you see this on your podcast feeds and you see a new logo and you see a new setup, we're trying to make it more professional. So just so you guys know that we also love to have guests. Jason, as always, we love having you.
Jason,
we love having everybody. So I just want to let you know.
I literally tweeted out like 30 seconds before we did this episode, my motto is support Red Sox content. And it doesn't matter how big, how small, in the middle. I know it's competitive. I know we bump heads a lot. Support it. Help it grow. Jason has his own podcast. Name of the podcast again, Jason?
Ball Blab, BALL space BLAB.
Love it. Check it out. Please give it a listen. Support content. We will obviously, tweet Jason out and his work, as we always do with our guests to help it grow, along with what we're doing here. Harrison, my brother, always a pleasure. Rob, the Instagram looks freaking fire, and we're excited about that. Justin, as always, the boss of Grandstand and helping Jason come on with this episode. And it's been a pleasure, guys. Once again, episode is available everywhere. Amazon, Apple, Spotify. I do the same thing every episode. Featured on Wisdom. Please give us a listen. Once again, round of applause for our guy, Jason Stellakis, who came out. He gave us some insight. It was a lot of fun. And till next time, guys, go Sox.
Till next time, go Sox and love that dirty water.
Absolutely. Be safe.